If you're operating in the business world, you know that today's companies manufacture in one place, have their intellectual property in another country, and their employees may be spread all over the world. Well, soon, your own personal life may be divided up internationally in the same way, and AI technology is going to be a big part of that. Hi, I'm Evan Goldstein, licensed professional engineer and data scientist. I'm building this channel to help business leaders bring AI into their daily operations. Today's episode is going to take a bit of a wider view, and we'll talk about how AI is widening your personal and business horizon. Today we'll start by traveling back into the distant past, the glorious 1990s, when computing technology was just becoming available for everyday people. At that time, a book called The Sovereign Individual made what turned out to be some hyper-accurate predictions based on what the New World Order is going to look like based on this technology. Firstly, they predicted that information tech will help individuals gain increasing power and autonomy. They also argued that tech advancement, particularly in communication and information dissemination, will enable individuals to access knowledge and resources that were once controlled by central institutions. So they basically predicted the internet, which seems obvious now, but it sure wasn't then. The Sovereign Individual also predicted the emergence of digital currencies, which would have a major effect on how future businesses would operate. They were right about that. Today we have Bitcoin and a zillion other cryptocurrencies. But so far, this cryptocurrency rage isn't really a major source of business finance. Cryptocurrencies are just too volatile, even with the very high inflation we're experiencing right now. Most businesses would prefer to work with a dollar that's losing 10 or 20% of its value every year, rather than a Bitcoin that could lose 2/3 of its value in 6 months. The authors predicted that the transition to the information age will lead to increased wealth disparity. Again, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out, but someone who understands how businesses function and how to integrate AI into that process, in other words, those of you who are watching this channel, will have an exponentially greater advantage. As AI continues to automate processes which once required employees, all the value generated by AI instead of the employees will now go directly to your business or to you personally. Meanwhile, employees or individuals who can't adapt will lose their value in the capitalist marketplace. And if you feel you're getting value from this episode, I would appreciate it if you would tap on the like button and share the wealth with others. This is how you let me know that I'm providing you with value, and it helps this value spread to others. Hitting like is an abundance play. So far, these predictions have been straightforward and they've come true. But the authors then go on to apply these facts to make some more radical predictions. They predict the end of taxation and the death of the nation state. But on the one hand, we have this revolution that has freed technologically savvy business leaders like you and me from the constraints of geography. Nowadays, with AI apps like HeyGen and Capwing, you can even record a video of yourself and have it instantly translated into a language that you don't even speak. The translations can be done in your own voice and make a lip-sync video in the foreign language. In New York, Mayor Eric Adams used robocalls that translated his speech into other languages using his own voice. He had people coming up to him on the street saying, "Hey, I didn't know you speak Mandarin," in Mandarin. It's one of those things that has people freaked out with the ethics implications right now, but in a couple of weeks, it'll just be the new normal. As this level of translation becomes more, and people won't have as much motivation to learn English, right? Because they can just run it through the translator, lip sync it, and then they've got it in their own language. Or they can talk back and translate things back from their language into English. On the other hand, this means that the Hollywood culture is going to penetrate further and further into different class strata. So whereas you might have to be connected to the internet, buying movie tickets, etc., if you're living in a rural, undeveloped place, now just everyone has cell phones. Now on your cell phone, you're going to have instantly translated media coming in and dealing directly with you. So I think there's going to be some loss of English's place as the primary language, or at least the language that people learn, but there will be a growth in the culture, the spread of Western culture into developing countries. So on the other hand, more developing countries have seen a steady, inexorable growth in the size of government and the welfare state. This would include payments, benefits, healthcare, etc. There's now a strong push for universal basic income, or UBI, which is really just cash payments to everyone. The idea is that AI is going to be so productive that the benefits can just be redistributed. The goal is to help cover all the people who don't upgrade their skill sets and are going to lose out as AI replaces their job functions. Add on to that the rapid aging of developed countries putting more and more people into elder care, medical coverage, etc. And you see just this endless growth of taxation and spending. We can model the connection between people and the government as a business. To use the example of the United States, about 2/3 of Americans either receive government assistance or work directly for government agencies. Those who take from the taxpayer in some way are the equivalent to employees. Those earning money who pay into the system in the form of taxes are customers in this analogy. Since democracy runs by the majority, the United States is effectively an employee-owned corporation. It's in the majority of the voters' short-term interest to continue to expand the size of government, despite the harm done by enormous deficits and uncontrolled inflation. This is happening in almost every Western country. From the customer side, only about half of Americans actually pay income tax, with the wealthiest 1% paying 42.3% of the taxes. However, in this case, the customers, the people paying the taxes, are not benefiting from the government social programs since they don't qualify for them. The main benefits and services they receive from the government are law and order and protections from outside intrusion or invasion from other countries. Looking at the relationship from the customer's perspective, it should be possible to find a government that can provide basic law and order at a fraction of the cost. The customers will take their business elsewhere by relocating. Those of us able to live and work anywhere in the world with anyone else are termed the cognitive elite. The sovereign individual envisions a world where those paying the highest taxes decide to make a rational economic choice and leave the United States and other Western countries. When this happens, you end up with a California-style economic government death spiral. Government must grow, and there are fewer and fewer taxpayers, so the government has to keep increasing tax rates on the remnant of the high earners who stay, which then chases more of them away. The final result would be a collapse of the welfare state as funding dries up. Right now, plenty of people are moving from California to Florida and Texas, but as AI technologies make the world smaller and smaller, that movement is going to become international. Meanwhile, governments around the world are eager to attract these cognitive elites and have them spend their money locally to build their own economies. These governments in developing countries don't need to levy Western-style taxation to benefit. Just having members of the cognitive elite in their country spending money every day and hiring local people and training them in their own technical fields jumpstarts the economy and increases the country's overall revenue. The actual cost of providing the basic responsibility of government, public safety, and security is tiny. For most developed countries, each citizen's contribution for defense is about $500 per year, and the cost of policing is about the same. Not the tens of thousands you're paying now, or maybe even millions. Depending on your earning potential, this is mostly from your perspective as an earner and as a payer fluff. When you start to think of yourself as a customer of government services, the value proposition just isn't there. More competitive countries and jurisdictions are beginning to compete for these individuals by offering them reasonable terms and rates, taxation for residency or citizenship, proportional to the benefits they receive. Take Dubai with its 0% income tax, for example. So developed countries with massive welfare states and aging populations are going to start losing their cognitive elite, and their welfare states will naturally collapse. Up-and-coming jurisdictions with their better value propositions are going to be a magnet for the cognitive elites who can use technology and AI to bring value into their new locale. But there's a lot more than the authors predict, and I think they get a little carried away with their predictions. While they think that internationalization will lead to the end of the nation state, I think that they're only looking at the high technology fields. The heart of the global economy is still commodities, manufactured goods, and services. These require armies to secure, physical factories to build, and navies to protect, all of which still require a nation state. You can make a lot of money processing information, but you cannot eat megabytes. So for you personally, the main takeaway for this is this. Countries and companies will compete for the cognitive elite. As an individual, this is good. If you're watching this channel, it means you're the sort of person companies need to hire. But as an employer, it means you have to make some adjustments. Number one, don't waste your life fighting the cognitive elite. Join them. That's what I made this channel, so that you can educate yourself on your options with businesses and AI and use them to your advantage. Number two, be a problem solver. Being in the cognitive elite doesn't mean being a computer programmer. The tsunami of AI, along with the retirement of baby boomers and loss of all their investment capital that used to fuel the tech industry, has caused waves of layoffs in the tech sector. You're much better off being a problem solver in your own industry who knows how to deploy AI as a force multiplier. Number three, be prepared for diversification abroad. Keep your passport up to date, and this can mean investing abroad, outsourcing some jobs to workers abroad, and just exploring other countries. This also has the benefit of giving some perspective on how you're doing business now and open your eyes to new ideas you would never have had staying in one place. And lastly, you should subscribe to AI Capitalist to keep getting this feed of great information on how to thrive in the modern AI economy.